In Leavenworth, Kansas, a peaceful suburban community known for its quiet streets and family values, a murder changed everything. Deanna Andrews, a devoted wife and mother of three, was found dead in her home under shocking circumstances. What seemed like a picture-perfect life quickly unraveled as investigators uncovered a web of secrets. Deanna's life looked flawless from the outside: a loving family, an active role in her community, and a reputation as a caring neighbor. But beneath the surface, things were not as they seemed. The truth behind her death would expose hidden struggles and relationships that no one in the quiet town could have imagined. Deanna Andrews was a woman everyone in Leavenworth seemed to admire. She had a warm smile and a giving heart, always ready to help her community. Deanna was deeply involved in her children's school, volunteering for bake sales and PTA meetings. She also organized food drives and fundraisers for families in need, making her a beloved figure in the neighborhood. Her home life looked just as perfect. She lived in a beautiful house with her husband, Ryan, and their three young children, triplets, who kept her busy and filled her days with energy. Deanna was also a regular at her local church, leading Bible study groups and setting an example for others with her dedication. To everyone around her, she was a woman who had it all: family, faith, and respect in the community. But as the investigation into her death would later show, there was more to Deanna's story than anyone realized. Behind the smiling face and community involvement, she was carrying burdens no one could see. Over time, the picture-perfect life that Deanna Andrews seemed to lead began to crack. Her marriage to Ryan, a successful corporate lawyer, was far from ideal. Ryan's demanding job kept him away from home for long stretches, leaving Deanna to manage the houses and care for their children on her own. When he was home, his focus was often still on work, creating a growing emotional distance between them. Deanna felt isolated and unfulfilled in her relationship. She confided to close friends that her marriage wasn't what it used to be. The once strong bond between her and Ryan had weakened over the years, leaving her feeling more like a single parent than a partner. While the outside world saw a loving, happy couple, Deanna was struggling with the weight of loneliness, searching for something to break the monotony of her life. In early 2018, Deanna found herself drawn to someone unexpected: her 18-year-old neighbor, Cassidy Morris. What began as casual conversations and friendly advice turned into something much more. Deanna initially acted as a mentor to Cassidy, offering guidance on navigating life as a young woman in their conservative community. But as time went on, their relationship took a darker, more secretive turn. The two began an affair that quickly became a dangerous escape for Deanna. Cassidy's youthful energy and free-spirited nature brought excitement to Deanna's life, something she felt was missing in her routine. However, the relationship was not balanced. Deanna became increasingly attached, blurring the lines between affection and obsession. It was a secret that both women worked hard to keep hidden, unaware of how deeply it would unravel their lives. As the months passed, Deanna's behavior began to shift in ways that alarmed those closest to her. She started pulling back from her usual commitments. The once active volunteer suddenly became less involved at school events and church activities, raising quiet concerns among her friends and neighbors. At home, she became withdrawn and distracted, focusing much of her energy on Cassidy. Her possessiveness grew, and those who spent time with her noticed an undercurrent of tension they couldn't quite explain. Deanna's need for control over the relationship began to overshadow her everyday life, leaving a trail of unease that others only recognized in hindsight. No one could have guessed how far this spiral would go, or the tragic consequences that lay ahead. On the morning of September 5, 2018, Ryan Andrews returned home after a long night at the office. The house was unusually quiet. With 3 children in the home, mornings were rarely calm, and the silence immediately put him on edge. Expecting to find Deanna in the kitchen preparing breakfast, Ryan instead walked into an empty, eerily still space. As he called out for his wife, a sense of dread began to creep in. Climbing the stairs to their bedroom, he noticed the door slightly open. When he stepped inside, he was confronted with a horrifying scene: Deanna's lifeless body on the floor, surrounded by blood. The room was in chaos, furniture overturned, broken glass scattered across the floor. It was clear that a violent struggle had taken place. In shock and panic, Ryan grabbed his phone and dialed 911, his trembling hands barely able to press the numbers. What started as an ordinary morning turned into the beginning of an investigation that would uncover shocking truths. When the police arrived at the Andrews home, they were met with a scene that told a story of violence and chaos. Deanna's body lay on the floor next to the bed, a gunshot wound to her head. Blood stained the carpet, and the overturned furniture suggested a desperate struggle had taken place. Officers immediately secured the area, marking the start of what would become a challenging investigation. Detective Olga Wandel, known for her sharp attention to detail, was assigned to lead the case. She carefully examined the bedroom, noting every piece of evidence, from the broken glass to the position of Deanna's body. The crime scene was meticulously photographed, and forensic specialists began collecting fingerprints, blood samples, and other items that could offer clues. It was clear this was no random act of violence. The questions now were, who had done this and why? The answers would soon begin to emerge, unraveling the lives of those closest to Deanna. The investigation quickly turned its focus to those closest to Deanna, starting with Cassidy Morris, the 18-year-old neighbor. Cassidy was well known in the community as a bright, outgoing high school senior with a promising future. She was set to graduate soon and had plans to attend the University of Texas to study environmental science. But as detectives dug deeper into her relationship with Deanna, they uncovered troubling details. Cassidy admitted to having a romantic relationship with Deanna, describing how it began as a mentorship but soon spiraled into something she hadn't anticipated. She painted a picture of a relationship marked by Deanna's increasing control and manipulation. Cassidy claimed that Deanna would call her at all hours, demanding her attention and threatening to expose their affair if Cassidy tried to pull away. While Cassidy denied involvement in Deanna's murder, her nervous demeanor during questioning and the tension in their relationship made her a prime suspect. The detectives knew they needed to explore her story further to uncover the truth. The investigation also turned to Ryan Andrews, Deanna's husband. As a corporate lawyer with a demanding career, Ryan was often away from home, which had created noticeable tension in their marriage. Neighbors and friends described him as distant, someone who prioritized work over family life. While he expressed shock and grief at Deanna's death, detectives couldn't ignore his potential motive, given the strained relationship between the couple. Ryan told investigators he had been working overnight at his office on the night of the murder. He provided phone records and time-stamped emails to back up his alibi. Despite this, his composed demeanor during questioning raised suspicions. Detectives noted his calm, almost detached responses and wondered if they masked something deeper. While his alibi seemed solid, his marital struggles and the discovery of Deanna's affair placed him firmly under the investigative spotlight. The question lingered, could there be more to his story than he was letting on? Another person under scrutiny was Destiny Morris, Cassidy's mother. A single mother working long hours as a dancer in Topeka, Destiny had a reputation as a tough and fiercely protective parent. Though she and Deanna had been friendly for years, their relationship had grown strained after Destiny began noticing changes in Cassidy's behavior, withdrawn, secretive, and distant. A few days before Deanna's murder, Destiny confronted her in a heated argument outside the Andrews home. She accused Deanna of having an inappropriate relationship with Cassidy and demanded it end immediately. Though Destiny denied having any involvement in the crime, detectives were intrigued by the timing of the argument and her proximity to the scene. She provided an alibi, stating she had been working a late shift on the night of the murder and had clocked out just before midnight. While her explanation seemed plausible, the detectives couldn't ignore the intensity of the argument and its possible connection to the events that followed. Destiny's fierce protectiveness of Cassidy kept her firmly on their radar. The investigation took a significant turn when a local electronics repair technician contacted the police with crucial evidence. While fixing a malfunctioning home security system brought in by a customer, The technician discovered hidden video files stored in the device's memory. The footage, recorded in the Andrews' master bedroom, provided chilling new details. The videos revealed that Deanna had been secretly filming her encounters with Cassidy without her knowledge. The recordings exposed the toxic and controlling nature of their relationship, showing Deanna's growing possessiveness and Cassidy's increasing discomfort. In one recording made just days before the murder, Deanna could be heard threatening to expose their affair if Cassidy ever tried to leave her. This discovery painted a more complete picture of the dynamics at play and suggested a motive rooted in fear and desperation. The evidence not only intensified the focus on Cassidy, but also raised questions about what truly happened on the night of the murder. With these recordings, detectives began piecing together the final moments leading to Deanna's death. With the hidden footage in hand, detectives returned to the Andrews home to search for additional evidence. Small, discreet cameras were found strategically placed in the master bedroom, confirming that Deanna had been secretly recording her encounters with Cassidy. This revelation solidified the already mounting tension in the investigation. The new evidence shifted the focus back to Cassidy Morris. The recordings not only highlighted Deanna's control over Cassidy, but also showed the emotional turmoil Cassidy endured in the weeks leading up to the murder. Investigators now believe Cassidy may have acted out of fear and desperation. This development brought clarity to the chaotic crime scene, suggesting that what happened in that bedroom was more than a random act of violence. It was the explosive result of a toxic and destructive relationship. Armed with this new understanding, detectives worked quickly to build their case. Every clue pointed them closer to uncovering the truth about what really happened that fateful night in Leavenworth. As the investigation reached its peak, detectives felt they had enough evidence to make an arrest. On September 19, 2018, they arrived at Cassidy Morris's home. Cassidy, just 18 years old, was sitting with her mother, Destiny, when officers calmly informed her of the charges. Cassidy appeared stunned but didn't resist. Destiny, blindsided by the arrest, was left speechless. The evidence against Cassidy was compelling. The hidden recordings revealed Deanna's threats and manipulation, and the forensic analysis of the crime scene matched the struggle described in the final moments of their relationship. Cassidy admitted to feeling trapped and fearful, but she maintained that she never intended for things to end this way. The arrest sent shockwaves through the community. Cassidy had once been seen as a bright young woman with a promising future, but the weight of her relationship with Deanna and the circumstances surrounding the murder painted a much more complicated picture. The stage was now set for a trial that would expose the hidden struggles and dark secrets behind this tragedy. The trial of Cassidy Morris began in late November 2019 and quickly captured national attention. The prosecution painted Cassidy as a deliberate killer, arguing that she had taken Deanna's life in a calculated act to free herself from the affair. They emphasized the violence of the crime scene, the struggle, and the gunshot that ended Deanna's life. To the prosecutor, this was cold-blooded murder. The defense, however, presented a different story. Cassidy's attorney highlighted the recordings as evidence of Deanna's manipulation and emotional abuse. The lawyer argued that Cassidy was a victim, pushed to the brink by Deanna's threats and controlling behavior. They framed the act not as premeditated murder, but as a desperate response to months of fear and psychological pressure. The courtroom was tense, with testimony from forensic experts, neighbors, and even Cassidy herself. Each day revealed more about the toxic relationship that had led to this tragic ending. The jury faced a difficult decision. Was Cassidy a calculating criminal, or was she a young woman overwhelmed by circumstances beyond her control? After weeks of testimony, their verdict would bring some clarity but no real sense of closure. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with their decision. Cassidy Morris was found guilty of manslaughter, not murder. They acknowledged the evidence of Deanna's emotional manipulation and Cassidy's psychological distress, which played a significant role in their decision to convict her on a lesser charge. The judge sentenced Cassidy to 10 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 5. Reactions to the verdict were mixed. Deanna's family was devastated, feeling the punishment didn't match the loss they had suffered. For them, the trial had unearthed painful truths about Deanna's double life, leaving them with more questions than answers. Others in the community, however, expressed sympathy for Cassidy, viewing her actions as the result of extreme emotional pressure rather than calculated intent. The case left everyone grappling with the complexity of the situation. While the trial had reached a legal conclusion, the emotional scars for all involved would linger far longer than the courtroom drama. It was a reminder that behind closed doors, even in the most seemingly perfect lives, there can be struggles no one sees.